There are 8 billion people walking this earth right now. 8 billion heartbeats, 8 billion stories. And out of all of them, heaven has marked a number so small, so specific, that when you read it in Revelation, your spirit either freezes or burns. 144,000. That's it. Out of every man, woman, and child, alive, out of every soul that has ever drawn breath in this generation, only that number will hear the Father lean down and say, in a voice that silences the noise of the world, "Sit down. What's coming will shake every foundation." And if you clicked on this video, I want you to take a slow breath right now, because something in your spirit already knew this message was waiting for you. My name is George, and what I'm about to share with you isn't theory. It isn't speculation. It's something the Spirit has been pressing on me for weeks, and the moment you started watching, I believe it became your appointment too. Let me tell you what I mean when I say sit down, because in the natural, those two words don't sound like much. A mother tells her son to sit down at the dinner table. A boss tells an employee to sit down before delivering news. A doctor pulls a chair out and asks the family to please sit down. Every time those words get used in our world, it's because something heavy is about to be said. Something that can't be received standing up. Something that requires the body to be still so the soul can hear. Now picture this. The Father, the one who spoke galaxies into existence, the one who told the storm be still, the one who looked at Job out of the whirlwind. He pulls out a chair, and he looks at one of his sons, one of his daughters, and he says, "Sit down. I need to tell you what's coming next." That's not a small moment. That's not a Sunday morning sermon moment. That's a throne room moment. And it doesn't happen to everyone. It happens to the marked. It happens to the sealed. It happens to those heaven calls by a number 144,000. Now I know what some of you are already thinking. You're thinking, "George, that number is symbolic. Don't take it literally." And listen, I'm not here to argue theology with anyone. I'm not here to tell you whether the number is exact or representative. What I'm telling you is this: whether you read it as a literal count or as a sealed remnant, the principle is the same. God has always worked with a few. Always. From the beginning of the Bible to the end. And if you don't see that, you've been reading scripture with your eyes closed. Think about Noah. The whole earth was alive with people. Cities, markets, weddings, music. 8 billion souls today. But back then, the earth was full in its own way. And out of all of it, out of every household, every tribe, every language, God spoke to one man. One. And he told Noah to build a boat in a place where rain had never even fallen the way it was about to fall. Noah didn't get a committee. He didn't get a focus group. He got a private word from heaven, while everyone else kept eating and drinking and marrying and living like nothing was coming. And then the rain came, and the door shut, and the foundations of the earth broke open. And the only ones who heard God say, "Sit down, it's time, get inside," were the ones already marked for the ark. That's how God moves. He always has. Look at Elijah. There were thousands of prophets in Israel. Thousands of men in robes claiming to speak for God. And when the famine hit, when the heavens shut up, and the brooks dried, and the people were starving, God didn't gather all the prophets together for a meeting. He pulled one man aside. One. And he said, "Elijah, sit down by the brook Cherith. I've commanded the ravens to feed you there. Sit down. Stay still. Trust me." And while the rest of the country was scrambling, while kings were panicking, while priests were performing rituals to Baal that did nothing, Elijah was being fed by birds. Because he was marked. Because heaven had sealed him for a moment that hadn't even arrived yet. You see the pattern? You see how God works? Now, I want to talk to you for a second about what it actually feels like to be one of those people. Because some of you watching this, and I'm going to be direct with you, some of you have spent your whole life feeling like something was off. Not wrong with you. Off about everything around you. like you were walking through a movie that everyone else thought was real, and you were the only one who could see the script being written behind the scenes. You sit in church and the worship is going, and people are clapping, and the pastor's preaching, and something in you keeps whispering, "There's more. There's more than this. Why am I the only one who feels there's more?" And you felt guilty about that for years. You've thought maybe you were prideful. Maybe you were broken. Maybe you were the problem. Let me tell you something. You are not the problem. You are the marked. The 144,000 don't walk around with halos. They don't glow in the dark. They don't have a tattoo on their forehead that says, "Chosen." What they have is a weight on their spirit that won't lift. A sense that they were born for a moment that hasn't arrived yet. A hunger that no church service, no worship night, no prayer meeting can fully satisfy, because the hunger isn't for an experience, it's for an assignment. And until they step into the assignment, the hunger only grows. Have you felt that? Don't answer me out loud. Just answer it in your spirit right now. Have you felt that hunger? That ache that won't go away no matter how good your life looks on paper? That's not depression. That's not anxiety. That's the seal. That's heaven calling. Look at Daniel, a young man dragged into Babylon, surrounded by a culture that worshipped statues instead of the living God. Out of all the captives, Daniel was different. He didn't argue. He didn't make scenes. He just refused, quietly, to defile himself. He prayed 3 times a day with the windows open, knowing it could cost him his life. And when the king had a dream that none of the wise men could interpret, Daniel walked in. He said, "There is a God in heaven who reveals secrets." And heaven told him exactly what was coming. That's a sealed one. Quiet on the outside, thunder on the inside, walking through Babylon but not belonging to it. And when the foundations of an entire empire were about to shake, God didn't go to the priests. God went to Daniel. Because Daniel had been marked from the beginning. Now hear me on this, because some of you need to hear this part more than anything else I'm going to say in this whole video. Being one of the 144,000 is not a reward for being good. It is not a prize for being more spiritual than your neighbor. It is not a club for the religious elite. It is a calling that was placed on you before you took your first breath, before your parents met, before your name existed in any record on this earth. The Lord saw you. He marked you, and He set you apart for a moment that the rest of the world will not be ready for. And what is that moment? I'll tell you what I believe in my spirit. We are living in a season where the foundations are already cracking. You can feel it. Don't tell me you can't. The institutions people trusted their whole lives are not what they used to be. Families are splintering. Churches are confused. Governments are unstable. The economy people built their security on is shifting under their feet. And the strange thing is, the world keeps trying to act like everything is normal, keeps trying to scroll past it, keeps trying to entertain itself out of the awareness that the ground is moving. But the marked ones, they feel it. They feel it like a tuning fork in the chest. They wake up at 3 in the morning and they don't know why. They open their Bible to a passage they've read 100 times, and suddenly the words leap off the page like they were written yesterday for this exact moment. They look at the sky differently. They look at strangers differently. They walk into a room and they can sense what's underneath the surface. Who's hurting? Who's hiding? Who's about to break? They've been given eyes that see and ears that hear, and they didn't ask for it. It came with the seal. And in this season, the Father is pulling those ones aside, one by one. He's saying, "Sit down. I need to tell you what's coming. I need to prepare you. I need you to stop running, stop performing, stop trying to fit into rooms I never called you to. I need you still. Because what I'm about to release through you cannot be released while you're standing up trying to manage everyone else's expectations. There are messages that pass through your eyes, and there are messages that pass through your spirit. If something in you recognized itself while watching, don't dismiss it. That is the Spirit confirming what was already written. The secret protocol carries 7 keys that unveil what heaven deposited in you before you ever arrived. Things no one around you has ever been able to name. It comes with the full audiobook for your moments of prayer, silence, and encounter with God. And you also receive the Awakening Map, the guide that illuminates the 5 seasons of spiritual awakening, revealing with precision exactly where you are and what comes next. The link is pinned in the first comment, but only for a limited time. Don't let this moment pass without a response. Now let me come back to something I started earlier, because I don't want you to miss it. I told you that when God says, "Sit down," something heavy is about to be said. I want to walk you through what he says next. Because the Father is not pulling you aside just to tell you that things are bad. He's not pulling you aside to scare you. The marked ones don't get fear. They get instructions. Look at Joseph. Sitting in a prison, literally sitting in a place no one expected greatness to come out of. Falsely accused. Forgotten. Years passing, with no answer from heaven. And then one day, the dream comes to Pharaoh, and nobody in the kingdom can interpret it. The wisest men in Egypt are silent, and the cupbearer suddenly remembers a Hebrew boy in the prison. Joseph gets pulled out, brought before the most powerful man in the known world, and he tells Pharaoh exactly what's coming. 7 years of plenty. 7 years of famine. The foundations of a civilization about to shake, and God is using one marked man to position an entire nation to survive what's coming. Joseph wasn't standing up making demands. He was sitting in a prison, faithful in obscurity, until the moment heaven called his number. And when the call came, when the foundations started shaking, he wasn't surprised. He had been prepared in the dark for what would be unleashed in the light. That's what's happening to some of you right now. You think you're in a season of waste. You think these years are the wilderness. You think God forgot you. He didn't forget you. He's preparing you. He's making sure that when the foundations shake, you're not shaking with them. You are the one he's going to use to feed others when the famine hits. You are the one he's going to use to interpret the dream when no one else can. You are the one he's going to set in front of kings when the moment arrives. But right now, he's saying, "Sit down, be still. Let me finish what I started in you." I want to tell you about Elisha for a minute. Because Elisha gives us a picture of what it looks like to be marked, but not yet released. Elisha was plowing a field. 12 yoke of oxen in front of him. He was working. He was contributing. He was doing his part. And Elijah walked by, threw his mantle on Elisha's shoulders, and kept walking. Didn't say anything fancy. Didn't have a long ceremony. Just dropped the mantle and walked away. And Elisha, listen to this. Elisha left everything, burned the plows, killed the oxen, cooked the meat over the fire of his old life, and fed it to the people. And then he followed. That's the call of a marked one. You don't get to take your old life with you. The mantle drops, and either you respond or you keep plowing. And let me tell you something, there are people watching this video right now who have had the mantle dropped on their shoulders months ago, maybe years ago, and they're still trying to figure out how to keep both lives going. You can't. You weren't built to. The seal on your life is not compatible with a divided heart. The 144,000 don't have a backup plan. They burn the plows. They cook the oxen. They walk away from what was, because they know what's coming requires every ounce of who they are. And then there's something else. Elisha didn't just inherit a ministry. He inherited a double portion. Why? Because he was willing to sit at Elijah's feet, walk where Elijah walked, watch how Elijah moved. He didn't try to be famous. He didn't try to be early. He waited. He served. And when Elijah was taken up in the whirlwind, Elisha picked up the mantle that fell, walked back to the Jordan, struck the water, and said, "Where is the Lord God of Elijah?" And the waters parted. Same God, new vessel, sealed, marked, released. You may be in your sitting season right now, and it is not a wasted season. It is the season where heaven is downloading what no classroom on earth could ever teach you. Let me get even more specific. Some of you watching this have been carrying a sense lately, and I mean lately, in the last few months especially, that something major is about to shift. You don't know what. You can't put words to it, but you've been waking up with a heaviness or a fire that wasn't there a year ago. You've been pulled to pray when you didn't plan to pray. You've been having dreams that you don't fully understand but you know mean something. You've been losing interest in things that used to entertain you. The shows don't hit the same. The conversations feel shallow. The hobbies feel hollow. And you've thought maybe you're depressed, maybe you're losing something. You're not losing anything. You're being weaned. The Father is pulling the small things out of your hands so he can put the bigger thing in. He's saying, I can't release the assignment with the distractions still in place, so I'm letting them feel boring on purpose. Because what's coming is going to require all of you, and I will not put new wine in old skin. Don't fight the weaning. Don't try to force the old things to come back to life. Let them die. The death of the old life is the doorway to the new assignment. And here's something else. The 144,000 are not lonely people, even though they often feel alone. There is a difference. Loneliness is the ache of being unwanted. Being set apart is the ache of being uncommonly called. They feel similar from the inside, but they are not the same. The marked ones often walk through years where they cannot find their tribe, not because their tribe doesn't exist, but because the Father is keeping them hidden until the right ones can recognize them. He doesn't want you settling for fellowship that would dilute the seal. So he keeps you in the wilderness a little longer than you'd like, until the day he brings you face to face with the ones who carry the same fire. When that day comes, you'll know. You won't have to explain yourself. You won't have to translate. They'll look at you, and you'll look at them, and the recognition will be instant. Heaven is going to start arranging those connections in this season. Some of you, in the next few months, are going to meet someone who carries the same weight you've been carrying. Do not let the enemy talk you out of that connection. Now let me bring this back around to where I started. 8 billion souls, 144,000 sealed. The Father pulling them aside, one by one, saying, sit down. What's coming? I'm not going to give you a date. I'm not going to play the game of telling you the year and the month, because Jesus himself said, no man knows that. But what I will tell you is what I see in my spirit. I see a season where the systems people trusted are going to be tested down to the foundations. I see many who called themselves believers, finding that their faith was built on the sand of feelings, instead of the rock of intimacy with God. I see a great shaking, not a shaking that destroys God's people, but a shaking that reveals what was actually built on him and what was just decorated with his name. And in that shaking, the sealed ones are going to stand. Not because they're stronger, not because they're holier, but because the seal cannot be broken. I want you to picture the throne room for a moment. Picture the Father on the throne. Picture the Lamb. Picture the elders falling down, the living creatures crying holy. And all around the throne, the sealed ones. People from every nation, the carpenter and the schoolteacher, the widow and the young soldier, the single mother and the truck driver, none of them rich by the world's standards. None of them famous, but every single one of them carrying the seal of the living God on their forehead. And the Father looks across that gathering and he says, these are mine. These I knew before time. These I marked when the earth was being shaped. These will stand when the foundations break. Are you one of them? You wouldn't be watching this right now if there wasn't something in you that already suspected the answer. So, here's what I want you to do. Tonight, before you go to sleep, I want you to find a quiet place. Could be your bedroom. Could be your car after work. Could be the front porch after the kids are down. Doesn't matter where. Just somewhere you can be still. And I want you to say out loud, with your own voice, Father, if I am one of the sealed, show me. Show me what you marked me for. Show me what you want me to sit down and listen to. I'm not running anymore. I'm not performing anymore. I'm not trying to fit into rooms you never called me to. Speak. I'm here. And then be quiet. Don't fill the silence. Don't grab your phone. Don't reach for distraction. Just sit and let the Father do what he's been waiting to do. Because here's the truth. He's been waiting longer than you have. You've been searching for years. He's been preparing for you since before time began. And the moment you finally sit down, the moment you finally stop striving, the moment you finally surrender, that's when the conversation starts. That's when the seal becomes activation. That's when the marked one stops being a description and starts being an assignment. The foundations are going to shake. There's no avoiding it. But the marked ones are not going to be shaken with the foundations. They're going to be the ones standing in the middle of the shaking, hands lifted, voice steady, telling everyone around them, "Don't be afraid. The Father told us this was coming. Sit down. Listen. He's about to speak. If you've made it this far, I believe with everything in me that this message was a divine appointment for you. And I want to hear from you in the comments, but not with a generic word. I want you to do something specific. I want you to tell me about the moment you first felt set apart. The first time you knew, deep down, that you weren't like the others around you. Maybe you were a child. Maybe you were a teenager. Maybe it hit you in your 40s out of nowhere. Tell me when. Tell me where you were. Tell me what you were doing. Because I read these comments. I pray over these comments. And I believe testimonies awaken other testimonies. So leave yours below. Be specific. Be real. Don't worry about how it sounds. The 144,000 are not a club. They are not a theory. They are a remnant being awakened in real time. And you might be one of them. The Father is pulling out the chair. The question is whether you'll sit down. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sealed. Listen for the voice that says, "Sit down."